They thought they had buried you. They thought they had broken you. They thought it was over. Until now. They moved in silence, plotting, scheming, doing everything in their power to keep you down. They whispered doubts into your mind, turned allies into enemies, sent storms meant to drown you. They never attacked you because you were weak. They came after you because they saw the power you hadn't even realized yet. They feared what you would become if you ever woke up. And now they are terrified because you did. Before we go deeper, take a second to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe. The more you engage, the harder it is for them to silence this message. YouTube doesn't want this truth spreading, but every like, every share, every interaction forces the algorithm to push this to more chosen ones. You're not just watching, you're breaking the chains they placed around this truth. Stand with your people. Let's spread the fire. Listen closely, because this is not a game. This is not another empty motivation speech. This is the truth they never wanted you to hear. The war against you was never physical. It was spiritual, psychological. A war for control over your mind, your energy, your destiny. They needed you to believe you were ordinary, that your struggles were meaningless, that your pain was random. But nothing about your life has been an accident. The betrayals, the isolation, the constant attacks, it was all intentional. They moved against you early because they knew exactly who you were before you ever had a chance to figure it out. Do you understand what it means to be chosen? It means your energy cannot be replicated, your presence cannot be ignored, and your spirit cannot be tamed. It means that even in your weakest moments, you radiate something they will never have. That is why they tried to break you before you ever rose. A chosen one at full power is unstoppable. A chosen one who sees through the deception is a threat to the entire system. That's why they made sure you were surrounded by people who drained you. That's why they sent distractions, confusion, and hardships to slow you down. They worked day and night to make sure you stayed questioning, hesitating, doubting yourself. Because the moment you realize your power, their illusion crumbles. Look back at your life. Look at the patterns. Every time you were about to rise, something happened to throw you off track. Every time you gained momentum, a betrayal, a setback, a loss appeared out of nowhere. That wasn't bad luck. That was strategy. They know that if they keep you exhausted, you won't have the strength to fight back. If they keep you second-guessing, you'll never fully step into your purpose. But here's what they never accounted for. You were built for war. The fire that was meant to destroy you only forged you into something stronger, something unshakable. They can study you, try to imitate you, even steal from you, but they will never be you. And that haunts them. That keeps them up at night, because while they spent their lives learning how to manipulate, you were given something no system, no force, no enemy can take away. A divine calling. You feel it, don't you? That stirring inside, that undeniable sense that you were meant for something greater. That's why you never truly fit in. That's why normal life never satisfied you. That's why no matter how much they tried to convince you that you were nothing, something inside of you refused to believe it. Because the chosen ones don't fade into the background. They don't settle for mediocrity. They don't bow to the system. So now the question is, what are you going to do with this truth? Because hearing it is not enough. You were never meant to sit on the sidelines. This is your moment, your turning point. Everything they did to stop you failed. The chains are breaking. The fog is lifting. And the time to rise is now. And now, let's break this down step by step. Because if you've made it this far, you already feel it. That fire inside you, that pull, that undeniable force telling you that this message was meant for you. Stay locked in, because what's coming next will shake you to your core. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you can feel this shift happening inside you. If you know, deep down, that they were wrong about you.
Let's be
Number 1. They wanted you gone, but you survived. The fire they set to burn you alive only refined you. The pit they dug for you became your foundation. They wrote your ending, until you ripped the pages out and rewrote the story yourself. They thought they had finished you. They thought they had thrown enough at you to break you for good. The betrayals, the setbacks, the isolation, none of it was random. They needed you to stay down, stay lost, stay defeated. They didn't just hope you would quit. They engineered situations to make it happen. They plotted against you before you even knew you were a threat. But here's what they underestimated. A chosen one doesn't fall. They rise. Look at history. How many of the greatest minds, the strongest leaders, the most revolutionary forces were nearly destroyed before they ever reached their full potential? Malcolm X was silenced. Jesus was crucified. Nelson Mandela was imprisoned. Tesla was discredited. Joan of Arc was burned. Why? Because the world is terrified of those who carry an untouchable light. They saw something in you before you even saw it in yourself. And that's why they came after you. Ask yourself, why has life hit you harder than most? Why have you faced betrayal after betrayal? Why have people you loved turned against you? Why does every time you get close to something great, something seems to rip it away? You are not unlucky. You are not cursed. You are chosen, and they know it. That's why they've thrown everything at you. If you weren't powerful, they wouldn't have wasted their time. They tried to exhaust you, drain you, make you believe you were too tired to keep going. They turned friends into enemies, opportunities into losses, dreams into nightmares. They played chess while you were still figuring out the game. But here's the part they never expected. You kept standing. Every time they thought they had you cornered, you found a way out. Every time they counted you out, you rose again. That's what separates the chosen from the rest. Resilience isn't something you learned. It's something you were born with. Like a phoenix, you were burned, but rose from the ashes stronger than before. And that's what they never prepared for. They built a storm to drown you, but all it did was wash away the weak parts of you. They pushed you into darkness, hoping you would lose yourself. But instead, you adapted, you learned, and you came back stronger than ever. They wanted to erase you, but the universe had already written your name in destiny before you even arrived. Maybe right now you're wondering, why did it have to be this hard? If I'm chosen, why does it feel like I'm always fighting? Why did I have to lose so much just to survive? Because chosen ones aren't made in comfort. They are forged in fire. You weren't given an easy path because your purpose is too great to be built on weakness. Every great warrior has been through war. Every leader has faced persecution. Every chosen one has been tested beyond what seemed fair. The pain wasn't a punishment. It was preparation. They never expected you to endure this much. The ones who turned their backs on you never thought you'd still be standing. The ones who plotted against you assumed you'd never recover. The system they built to trap you was supposed to break you before you ever saw the truth. But now, you see everything clearly. You see the patterns, the manipulation, the way they tried to mold you into something smaller, weaker, easier to control. And the second you woke up to that, the game changed. Look at your life. Look at everything they threw at you. Financial struggles, emotional betrayals, unexpected losses, sudden roadblocks. Yet, you are still here. That alone should terrify them. They gave you their worst, and you survived. Imagine what happens when you start fighting back. Imagine what happens when you step into your power fully, without hesitation, without fear. They spent years breaking you down, but they never prepared for what happens when a chosen one decides to reclaim what was always theirs. And now, that moment has arrived. No more looking back. No more questioning if you're strong enough. No more doubting why you were put through this. You know now. You understand. You weren't supposed to break. You were supposed to awaken. Let this be the last day you ever wonder if you are powerful enough. Let this be the last time you ever let their attacks shake your confidence. Because they only attack what they fear. And their fear of you, it's greater than you could ever imagine. Number 2. They tried to erase your identity. The most dangerous thing you can do is remember who you are. They never needed to put you in physical chains. They never had to lock you in a cell or hold a gun to your head. No, they knew the real battle was in your mind. If they could make you forget who you were, they wouldn't have to stop you. You would stop yourself. And that's exactly what they tried to do. From the moment you took your first breath, they began the process of erasing you. They filled your world with noise, with false lessons, with distractions meant to pull you away from your true path. They taught you to doubt yourself before you could ever discover your power. They trained you to seek permission when you were never meant to ask for it. They conditioned you to fear standing out, when in reality, you were born to lead. Think back. How many times were you told to tone it down, to be realistic, to fit in? How often were you mocked for thinking differently, for questioning what others accepted as truth? It wasn't by accident. The world does not want free thinkers. It does not want warriors. It does not want chosen ones realizing their full power. Because once you do, their control is over. That's why your whole life has been an uphill battle. Not just physically, but mentally. Every hardship, every betrayal, every moment of doubt was carefully placed to make you question yourself. They wanted you looking outward for validation instead of inward for truth. They wanted you to be so lost in the opinions of others that you never found your own voice. Look at history. Every powerful leader, every revolutionary, every chosen one was attacked in the same way. The first battle is always for the mind. Malcolm X was called a radical before they silenced him. Nikola Tesla was ridiculed before they stole his ideas. Joan of Arc was branded a heretic before they burned her. Jesus was denied by his own people before he fulfilled his destiny. Do you see the pattern? Before the world accepts the chosen, it first tries to erase them. They rewrite history. They distort the truth. They make you question your very existence. And if they could do that to the greatest minds, to ever walk this earth, what do you think they've been trying to do to you? They put you through cycles of doubt, making you wonder if you're good enough, strong enough, worthy enough. They surround you with people who don't see your value, forcing you to shrink yourself just to be accepted. They send setback after setback, hoping you'll eventually give up on your purpose. But here's what they never expected. You still remember. Despite all the lies, despite all the confusion, despite every attempt to make you forget your power, something inside of you never fully let go. That's why you're here, listening to this message. That's why, even after everything, you can still feel it. That pull, that fire, that unshakable truth that you were meant for more. And now, the question is simple. Are you going to keep living in their illusion? Are you going to keep playing small, questioning yourself, holding back? Are you going to continue believing their lies when every part of your soul is screaming for you to wake up? Or will you reclaim what was always yours? Because the moment you decide to step into your true identity, their control ends. The distractions lose power. The doubts fade. The manipulation no longer works. And that is what they fear most. You were never meant to be lost. You were never meant to be controlled. You were always meant to rise. And now, nothing can stop you. Number 3. Your power threatens them. That's why they fear you. They do not attack the weak. They attack the ones who can shake the system. Everything you've been through wasn't random. It wasn't bad luck, and it wasn't coincidence. The resistance you've faced, the betrayals, the setbacks, none of it happened by accident. You were targeted, not because you were weak, but because you were dangerous. You disrupt the system. You shake the foundation. You are everything they fear. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a predator waste energy chasing something weak? Lions do not hunt rabbits. They go after the strongest prey, because that is what threatens their survival. The system works the same way. If you were insignificant, if you posed no threat, they wouldn't waste their time trying to break you. But they did. They came for you early, before you even knew what you were capable of, because they saw something in you, a force they couldn't control. Look at the patterns. The people who tried to tear you down, the ones who suddenly turned on you for no reason, the countless times life seemed to hit you harder than it hit others. Why do you think that is? Why do you think certain people were allowed to walk an easy path while you had to fight for everything? Because your very existence is disruptive. The way you think, the way you move, the energy you carry, it shifts things, it breaks illusions, it exposes truth. And that is what terrifies them. So they built a strategy against you. They didn't come at you with direct attacks. That would have been too obvious. Instead, they worked in the shadows, whispering doubts into your mind, placing obstacles in your path, making you question yourself before you even had a chance to rise. They made sure you were surrounded by people who drained your energy, who didn't believe in you, who kept you distracted with meaningless drama and false promises. They kept you chasing validation, seeking approval, second-guessing your every move, because as long as you doubted yourself, they didn't have to do anything. You were already fighting yourself. That's why they fear your awakening. Because the moment you step into your full power, the game is over. The illusions no longer work. The distractions lose their grip. The fear they planted inside you burns away, and suddenly you become the one they can no longer touch. Look at history. Every revolutionary, every chosen one, every individual who stood in their true power was met with resistance. Martin Luther King Jr. was feared because his words could move mountains. Malcolm X was hated because he saw through the lies. Joan of Arc was burned because she refused to bow. The system does not fear noise, it fears impact. And that's exactly why they tried to exhaust you before you ever discovered what you were capable of. They needed you tired, distracted, and overwhelmed. They needed you so busy surviving that you never had time to step into your true calling. But what happens when exhaustion turns into focus? What happens when all the distractions fall away and you see the game for what it really is? They lose. Because here's what they never wanted you to realize. You were never powerless. You were never small, never weak, never meant to stay silent. You were always the force they feared. The only thing standing in your way was the illusion they created to keep you contained. So now, the question is simple. Will you keep playing by their rules, or will you step fully into the power they never wanted you to embrace? Because the moment you decide to rise, their control shatters. Number 4, the system is designed to keep you lost. They built a cage so you would never think about flying. Since the moment you opened your eyes in this world, the system has been working against you. They didn't chain your body. They chained your mind. They didn't lock you in a cell. They built a world around you that made you believe you were free while keeping you trapped in an invisible prison. A prison of thoughts. A prison of doubts. A prison of lies. The schools taught you to obey, not to think. The media fed you distractions, not truth. Society conditioned you to seek validation, not self-mastery. Every institution, every structure, every unwritten rule was designed to make sure that you never realized who you are, because a chosen one fully awake. That is the one thing they cannot control. This is the Matrix effect, a carefully designed illusion meant to keep you asleep, compliant, and unaware of your own power. They told you that success meant following their path. Go to school, get a job, work until you die. They fed you a script, hoping you would never question who wrote it. They made sure the moment you started thinking differently, you were labeled crazy, rebellious, or dangerous. Why? Because the moment you see the system, you stop being controlled by it. Look around. How many people are living on autopilot, completely unaware of the deeper game at play? How many people do what they're told without ever questioning why? They don't even realize they're trapped. Because that's how well designed this system is. They were programmed to believe that anyone who questions reality is a problem. And that's exactly why you've been attacked for thinking differently. Ever wonder why society pushes so hard for external validation? They trained you to seek approval from others, so you never learn to trust yourself. They made you believe that your worth depends on the opinions of people who don't even know their own truth. It's all a trap. The moment you stop seeking their approval, you break free from their control. And that's why they fear you. Because the chosen ones, we don't ask for permission. Look at history. Every revolutionary, every world changer, every chosen soul who dared to break free from the illusion was met with resistance. Galileo was exiled for speaking truth. Martin Luther King Jr. was silenced for exposing lies. Nikola Tesla was erased from history for thinking outside the system. Do you really think it's any different today? The moment you start questioning the game, they come for you. They discredit you, isolate you, make you feel like you're crazy. They plant seeds of doubt in your mind, hoping you'll stop searching for truth. They use fear, ridicule, and manipulation to keep you quiet. Because they know that if too many people wake up, the entire system collapses. But here's what they never planned for. You did wake up. You see through the lies now. You recognize the distractions. You no longer accept their version of reality. And now, they can't control you anymore. So what will you do with this truth? Will you keep pretending the cage isn't there? Or will you break free and take flight? Because the reality is this: if you weren't a threat, they wouldn't care what you thought. But they do, and that tells you everything you need to know. Number 5. They tried to turn your strength into a weakness. They called you too much because they could never match your fire. From the beginning, they saw something in you that unsettled them. It wasn't just your energy. It was the intensity, the passion, the way you moved differently from the rest. They didn't understand you, so they tried to contain you. They twisted your gifts, your fire, your presence into something negative, something burdensome. Not because you were flawed, but because your power made them uncomfortable. How many times have you been told you're too much, too intense, too emotional, too serious, too sensitive, too ambitious? Every time you tried to stand in your truth, someone had something to say, some reason why you should tone it down, dim your light, quiet your voice. But let's ask the real question: too much for who? The world does not silence the ordinary. It does not mock the powerless. It does not attack those who do not pose a threat. They came for you because your fire burns too bright. They tried to shame you for your depth, for your ability to feel things others ignore. They gaslighted you into believing your emotional intelligence was a flaw. They told you that thinking deeply made you negative, that questioning everything made you difficult. But tell me this: why do the greatest minds, the strongest warriors, the most powerful leaders all have this same story? Nikola Tesla was called insane for thinking differently. Joan of Arc was labeled dangerous for believing in something greater. Malcolm X was demonized for speaking truths people weren't ready to hear. Frida Kahlo was dismissed for being too bold, too raw, too passionate. Do you see it now? Every revolutionary was first made to feel like they didn't belong, because society fears what it cannot control. It cannot mold you, so it tries to break you. It cannot suppress your power, so it tries to convince you that your power is a weakness. They told you that caring deeply was a flaw, that seeing beyond the surface was paranoia, that believing in yourself was arrogance. But the truth is, everything they shamed you for was a reflection of what they lacked. Your passion? It made them uncomfortable because they had none. Your depth? It reminded them of how shallow they were. Your intensity? It scared them because it showed them what real power looks like. They wanted you to shrink, to apologize, to second-guess yourself. But let's set the record straight. You are not too much. They were just never enough to handle you. And now that you see the truth, the game is over. No more apologizing for your energy. No more watering yourself down to make others comfortable. No more playing small to avoid making waves. Because the ones who told you to dim your light, they did it because they could never match your fire. And now you burn brighter than ever. Number 6. The enemy works in the shadows, but your light exposes them. Darkness fears only one thing: the light. They never attacked you head-on. They never came at you openly. That's not how the enemy works. They operate in the shadows, moving silently, whispering doubt into your mind, placing obstacles in your path before you even know what's happening. They move in deception because deception is their only weapon. From the moment you were born, they knew you carried something powerful, something rare, a light they could never replicate. And they understood one thing: light doesn't need to fight the darkness. It only needs to exist, and the darkness vanishes. That's why their war against you was never about physically stopping you. It was about keeping you blind to your own glow. They sent distractions, manipulations, illusions designed to keep you questioning yourself. They planted doubts before you could even speak your first words. They surrounded you with people who kept you small, who reinforced the lie that you were just like everyone else. Because as long as you believed that, you would never step into your true power. But something in you refused to go dark. No matter how much they tried to dim your fire, it kept burning. No matter how much they whispered, you still felt something pulling you toward the truth. No matter how much they tried to keep you in their illusion, your soul knew there was more. And then it happened. You woke up. You started seeing through the deception. You started questioning the game, and with every step you took toward the light, their control over you weakened. Because the one thing they cannot fight is exposure. Look around. The same people who once celebrated you now resent you. The ones who supported you when you were lost suddenly can't stand you now that you've found yourself. Ever wonder why? Because they could control you when you were blind. But now you see everything. They liked you when you doubted yourself because they knew how to manipulate your hesitation. They supported you when you played small because it made them feel bigger. They stayed close when you needed them, but the moment you became independent, they turned against you. That is how the enemy moves. They never wanted you strong. They never wanted you free. Because the moment you realize who you are, their entire plan falls apart. They built a system designed to keep you asleep, but the moment you open your eyes, you destroy their illusion. The lies no longer work. The manipulation no longer holds. The fear they use to control you dissolves. And that is what terrifies them. Because your very presence is an act of war against deception. Every time you walk in truth, you disrupt their lies. Every time you step into your power, you weaken their influence. Every time you refuse to conform, you expose the game for what it really is. They never expected you to wake up. They never thought you'd see through their tricks. But now, you do. And now that the light is shining, the darkness has nowhere left to hide. Number 7. They can no longer steal from you. The door is shut. The well is dry. No more taking from you. For years, they fed off you. Not physically, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. They drained you, siphoned your energy, took what they needed, and left you empty. And the worst part, you let them. Not because you were weak, but because you were pure-hearted. Because you wanted to help. Because you believed in them, even when they never deserved it. But now, the game is over. The well is dry. The door is locked. The energy they once stole is no longer theirs to take. They never truly loved you. They loved what you gave them. The light, the guidance, the wisdom, the presence. You were their source of strength, their emotional anchor, their personal healer. But when it was your turn, when you needed someone to pour into you, where were they? Silent, missing, nowhere to be found. And that's how energy vampires work. They come to collect, not to contribute. They manipulate, deceive, and guilt trip, always playing the victim to keep you tied to them. They exhaust you with their problems, their chaos, their endless crises, so you never have the time or energy to focus on yourself. Because the moment you focus on you, you stop feeding them. But here's what they never prepared for. You woke up. You see them for what they are now. Users, drainers, manipulators. And now they no longer have access. No more free energy. No more late-night emotional rescues. No more fixing their messes while they sit back and watch. No more sacrificing yourself for people who would never do the same for you. And trust me, they feel it. They sense the shift. They know something has changed. That's why they're coming back. They will try to return with their same tricks. Fake apologies, false promises, crocodile tears. They'll act like they've changed, like they finally understand your worth. But here's what you need to remember. They don't miss you. They miss your energy. And this time, they will not get it. So ask yourself, who in your life still has access that shouldn't? Who still drains you, distracts you, pulls you into their drama? Who benefits from your strength while leaving you with nothing? Because now, you get to decide. Now, you hold the power. The taking stops here. The door is shut. The well is dry. No more stealing from you. Number 8. Your return will shake the system. They thought you were done. They thought they had won. They were wrong. They celebrated too soon. They whispered about your downfall, laughed at your struggles, and convinced themselves that you would never rise again. They counted you out, but they never understood who they were dealing with. Because a chosen one does not stay defeated. A chosen one does not stay buried. A chosen one rises. Always. They mistook your silence for surrender. They mistook your isolation for weakness. They thought they had broken you, that their betrayal, their rejection, and their obstacles had drained every last bit of fight out of you. But what they failed to realize is that you weren't disappearing. You were transforming. Think about it. Every great force, every earthquake, every storm, every revolution begins in silence. It brews beneath the surface, unseen, unheard, unnoticed, until the moment it erupts. And when it does, it changes everything. That is what is happening with you right now. You were hidden, but only because the universe was preparing you for something greater. Like a seed buried beneath the soil, your growth was happening in the dark. And now, the roots are strong. Now, the foundation is unshakable. Now, the time has come for you to break through the ground and emerge as the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. And when you do, they will be the first to notice. The ones who ignored you, the ones who dismissed you, the ones who secretly hoped you would fail, they will be the first to ask how you did it. They will watch, stunned, as the person they thought was finished rises higher than they ever imagined. Because your return will shake the system. This is poetic justice. The same people who doubted you will soon need you. The same ones who mocked your dreams will soon be asking for your help. The tables are turning, because that's how the universe works. Those who tried to break you will have no choice but to witness your rise. And this time, there's nothing they can do to stop it, because your rise is not dependent on their approval. Your success is not in their hands. They had their chance to stand with you, to believe in you, to support you, but they chose to bet against you. Now they will watch as you become everything they said you could never be. They thought they had won, but they were wrong. Because your rise is inevitable. The system that tried to break you is about to feel the impact of your return. The illusion they built to keep you small is about to crumble. And when the dust settles, they will know one thing for certain: nothing and no one can stop you anymore. Number 9. It's time to break the final chains. No more waiting, no more holding back. It's time. You've come too far to stop now. You've endured too much to turn back. The struggles, the betrayals, the losses, they were never meant to break you. They were meant to prepare you for this very moment. This is your turning point. This is the moment the enemy fears most. The moment you finally break free. But before you can rise into your full power, there's one last step, one last test. What is still holding you back? Because make no mistake, you are powerful beyond measure. But power without action is wasted. Strength without movement is useless. You can't step into your destiny with chains still wrapped around you. It's time for the final elimination round. What fears are still keeping you small? Fear of failure, fear of what people will say, fear of success itself. They've planted fear in your mind for years, hoping it would paralyze you. But now you see the game. Fear is an illusion. It only has power if you give it power. So the question is, will you keep feeding it, or will you finally starve it? What habits are keeping you trapped? Are you still engaging with people who drain you? Are you still procrastinating, doubting yourself, waiting for a perfect moment that will never come? Chosen ones don't wait. Chosen ones move. And every second you hesitate is a second the enemy wins. Who are you still tied to that doesn't belong in your future? Not everyone is meant to come with you. Some were only in your life to serve as lessons, tests, or distractions. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. If they are not pushing you forward, they are pulling you back. And at this stage, you cannot afford to be pulled back. So here it is, the final choice. Will you finally cut the last chains and step into the life you were meant to live? Or will you stay trapped, waiting for a moment that will never come? Because the time is now. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now, no more excuses, no more hesitation, no more waiting for permission. This is your moment. So what will it be? Will you break free, Or will you let the chains keep you locked in a life that was never meant for you? Decide now, because once you do, nothing will ever be the same again. Number 10. You are the unstoppable force they never expected. The storm has arrived, and it's you. They saw you struggling and thought that was the end. They watched you fall and assumed you'd stay down. They mistook your silence for surrender, your setbacks for defeat. But what they didn't know, what they never could have prepared for, was the force you were becoming. You are not just a survivor. You are a disruption. You are the shift, the awakening, the ripple that turns into a tidal wave. You are the very thing they have spent years trying to suppress. And now, you have arrived. They wanted you confused. They wanted you lost in self-doubt, constantly questioning your place in the world. Because a chosen one at full power is unstoppable. But the moment you opened your eyes, the moment you saw the game for what it really was, everything changed. No more apologies. No more dimming your light to make others comfortable. No more explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand you. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to shake the foundation. Look at the world, at history, at every moment where real change happened. It was never by those who conformed. It was by those who disrupted. Tesla saw beyond what the world was ready for, and they tried to erase him. Malcolm X spoke truth so powerful, they silenced him. Joan of Arc was just a girl until her presence alone threatened empires. Jesus walked with a light so powerful, the world crucified him. They do not fear the weak. They fear the unstoppable. And that is exactly what you have become. Once you see the game, you can't be played anymore. Once you know your own power, they can no longer manipulate you. Once you reclaim your identity, they lose their grip forever. They spent years preparing for your failure. They never prepared for your return. And now they will have no choice but to watch as you become everything they tried to stop. Number 11. They will test you. Stay ready. The battle is won in the mind before it ever reaches the battlefield. They see the shift happening. They feel the power returning to you. And now, they're panicking. The moment you break free, the moment you step into your full power, the tests begin. They will come disguised as opportunities, as apologies, as second chances. Do not be fooled. This is not coincidence. It's strategy. Because the system doesn't let go without a fight. They will try to pull you back into old cycles, to make you question your decisions, to blur the lines between progress and comfort. They don't care about your growth. They care about keeping you under control. They know they can't stop you head on, so they will try to slow you down. Expect fake apologies. The people who betrayed you, the ones who doubted you, the ones who turned their backs on you, they will suddenly reappear. Not because they've changed, but because they see you rising. They will come with half-hearted regrets, with carefully chosen words designed to play on your emotions. But pay attention. Real change is proven, not spoken. Expect distractions. The closer you get to your purpose, the more the enemy will try to pull your attention elsewhere. Sudden temptations, unnecessary drama, meaningless conflicts. All of it designed to drain your energy and keep you from focusing on what truly matters. Expect tests that force you to prove what you've learned. The same patterns you broke free from will try to pull you back. The same struggles you overcame will knock at your door one last time. This is not a punishment. It's confirmation. The universe needs to know, are you truly done with the old version of yourself, or will you fall back into what you've outgrown? This is the part where many chosen ones stumble, because the past is familiar, because the comfort of old habits feels easier than stepping fully into the unknown. But let me make this clear. You don't go back to what you were sent to destroy. You don't revisit the pain that shaped you. You don't entertain the people who drained you. You don't waste another second on the illusions that once held you back. You've come too far. You've seen too much. You are no longer the same person they once manipulated. And now, you are ready for anything. Stay ready. Stay sharp. Because the battle is not over. It has just begun. Number 12. Final message. You were born for this. This is your moment. This is your calling. Step into it. This is it. The moment that was always meant to come. The moment where you finally understand, deep in your soul, that everything you've been through was not random. The storms, the battles, the betrayals, the doubts. They weren't punishments. They were the fire that forged you into something unbreakable. The system tried to erase you, but you are still here. The enemy tried to silence you, but your voice has never been louder. They threw obstacles in your path, hoping you would crumble, but every time you got back up. And now, you're at the point where there's no turning back. So what are you going to do with this moment? Are you going to keep waiting, hesitating, questioning yourself? Are you going to keep looking over your shoulder, wondering if you're ready? Are you going to let their lies still hold weight in your mind? Or are you finally going to own what was always yours? Because make no mistake, you were born for this. For too long, they had you believing you were still learning, that you weren't ready, that you needed more time, more experience, more permission. But let me tell you something. Masters are not made in the classroom. They are made in the battlefield. And you've already been through the fire. Think of every hardship you survived, every lesson you learned the hard way, every time you had to pick yourself up when no one else was there to help you. That wasn't training. That was mastery. You didn't just survive, you evolved. You didn't just learn, you transformed. You see the game now, you understand the illusions, and you no longer play by their rules. That is what makes you unstoppable. No more doubting if you're good enough. No more asking if you're capable. No more waiting for someone to tell you it's time. It is time. The moment you decide, the moment you step forward, the moment you claim what's already within you, that is when everything shifts. They convinced you to second-guess yourself because they knew that was the only way they could slow you down, because they knew the truth. Once a chosen one fully embraces their power, nothing in this world can contain them. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you the life you were meant for. The time for waiting is over. For too long, you were programmed to seek approval, to look around and wait for someone to tell you, yes, now you're ready. But that moment will never come, because the truth is, you were ready the moment you were born. Look around. Look at the world. Look at the people stuck in the illusion, still asleep, still following the script. You were never meant to be one of them. That's why you always felt different. That's why you questioned things. That's why, no matter how much you tried to blend in, it never worked. Because you were not sent here to fit in. You were sent here to lead. And leaders, they don't wait. They don't hesitate. They don't ask for permission. They step forward when no one else will. They take risks. They own their power, fully and unapologetically. So what are you waiting for? Do you think another year of hesitation will make you stronger? Do you think playing small will keep you safe? Do you think staying silent will make them stop fearing you? No, because deep down, you already know the truth. You were sent here to change things. You were given a fire that was never meant to be dimmed. You were meant to walk a path that only the strongest can handle. But the universe does not force you. The choice has always been yours. So here we are, the final moment, the decision that will define everything. Are you going to step up, take control, and claim the life you were always meant to live? Are you going to walk into your destiny with power, with confidence, with the unstoppable energy of someone who knows who they are? Or will you stay asleep? Will you let the doubts win? Will you keep waiting for a moment that will never come? Because this is it. There is no next time. There is no one day. There is only now. They thought they had stopped you. They thought you would never rise. They thought their lies, their manipulation, their games would keep you lost forever. But they were wrong. Because you are here, you are awake, and nothing will ever be the same again. So what's your choice? Because chosen ones don't hesitate. Chosen ones move. And if you're truly ready to step into your power, press the like button, subscribe, and share this message. Because they don't want this truth reaching more people. But together, we will make sure it does. This is your moment. Rise.